Hi everyone, welcome back to Uplatz. My name is Prudviraj. I am a technical trainer with Uplatz. In this session, we will see how our Node.js application can communicate with Mongo database in the backend using Mongoose as a driver. So using this Mongoose library, we are going to discuss how to communicate with Mongo database in the backend. In our previous sessions, we already seen how to make our Node.js application communicating with the Mongo database using MongoDB driver. And now we are done with Node.js communicating with the Mongo database using MongoDB library. But in this session, using Mongoose library, we will see how we can perform some different types of operations on the backend Mongo database. Node.js Mongoose is a MongoDB object modeling tool. So this is an object modeling tool especially designed to work in an asynchronous environment. With the help of Mongoose, we can model our data. Example, consider that we are operating a bookstore. Bookstore has items. Each item could have properties like name, title, price, quantity, etc. With Mongoose, we can model our items and perform different types of operations to the collections of MongoDB in terms of model objects without bothering about details of an object. Basically, this Mongoose provides abstraction at the model level. And to install, first of all, to work with this Mongoose library or package, we need to install Mongoose package. This is an external library. This is not a built-in module or package. We need to explicitly install this Mongoose library in order to work with this package. So for that, we can take support of npm tool to install that required dependency. And in our previous sessions, we already discussed about npm, which stands for Node Packet Manager, and which is very much useful for Node.js developers in order to install the required dependencies. And we know the purpose of require function. Once that particular module is installed, we can start working with that module in our Node.js script file by using require function. Okay, let me complete these steps: installing Mongoose package and importing that package in our Node.js file. Later we will see how to connect to MongoDB using Mongoose package or library. So back to command prompt. Okay, fine. Anyway, our VS Code is opened. Before that, let's install the package Mongoose. npm I stands for install, followed by name of the package which we want to install. And now we installed Mongoose library successfully. Back to VS Code. Let's import the required library Mongoose into our application. And let's store that inside a variable Mongoose. So with this step, we successfully imported Mongoose library. Okay, log equal to console.log. And now next step is how to establish connection with MongoDB using this Mongoose package. In order to connect to MongoDB from Node.js using Mongoose package, we need to call a function called as a connect and the variable referencing to Mongoose. With the Mongo database, URI passed as argument to function. And we know in order to connect to MongoDB, we need to know the address and port number on which the Mongo database server is running. We need to call a function called as a connect, and we need to pass that URL as an argument for connect function. Once we are done with that, we need to get a reference to the database. So how will we get the reference to a database? Our mongoose object, we need to call a function called as connection function, which will give us a reference to the database. So let's see how to connect to MongoDB and how to get reference to the database. On Mongoose, we need to call a method called as connect by passing URL as a parameter. And now let's see how to frame the URL. MongoDB colon forward slash localhost colon 27017 is the port number on which our Mongo database is running. Moreover, we will use uh, the database name as Uplatz because that is the database on which we are working in the main database MongoDB. Once we are done with this, we will pass this URL as a parameter for this connect function. Fine. And now on Mongoose reference, if we call a function called as a connection, we are going to get a reference to the database. So we are done with establishing connection and we are also done with getting reference to the database by calling connection method or function. And now let's see how to check whether the connection is successful or not. We can make use of callback functions on and once. So we can take support of on function by passing the event name error and binding it to the console. If any errors are there related to the connection, this on function will be executed and the error event will be fired. We can make use of once function whenever the connection is opened. Open event will be fired. As a part of that, we will write the logic inside a callback function indicating whether the connection is success or failure. So let's finish the steps to work with the callback function on and once. So back to VS Code, db dot on occurring the event error or on raising the event error, we will bind that error to the console. Console dot error dot bind and we pass console as argument with some message connection error. Any connection related error messages, this line number 10 will be executed. db dot once and we whenever that open event is fired, we want this callback function to be executed. So I write connection success. Save this. Back to our command prompt. Let's run this application. And now we can see we got the message connection success. We are getting some deprecation warnings with respect to new URL parser and use unified topology. So let's make these properties values as a true. So back to connect method, use unified topology as a true and use new URL parser. We will set the value to true. And now we should not get any type of warnings. Let's run this. Fine. We don't have any type of warnings now. So we got the message connection success. Next, we will see how to define a model. So model is very, very important in order to make our Node.js application communicating with the MongoDB using Mongoose library. So model does everything. To define a model, we need to derive a custom schema from Mongoose schema. Later, we need to compile the schema into a model. So let's see how to recognize a model. So let's consider that we are operating a bookstore and we need to develop a Node.js application for maintaining the list of books related to that bookstore. Example, we have chosen MongoDB as a database for storing the documents related to that books. The simplest item of transaction here is a book. Hence, we shall define a model called book and transact objects of book model between our Node.js and MongoDB. Mongoose helps us to abstract at book level during transactions with the database. Here, transactions are nothing but a set of operations what we perform on the backend Mongo database through Mongoose, and we can perform insert operation, delete operation, update operation, find operation, etc. And now let's see how to define a custom schema. On Mongoose reference, we need to call a method called schema, which is going to take object as a parameter. This object contains different properties where each property represents the field name and value represents the data type for that field. If you look at our example, we have a book schema which contains three properties associated: name, price, quantity with their respective data type specified. Once we are done with the schema, next step is we need to convert the schema to a model. For that, our mongoose reference, we need to call a method called model, where first argument is the name of the model, second argument is nothing but schema, third argument is nothing but a collection. So third argument collection is the name of the collection. We need to specify the collection name where we want our documents to be inserted. And now let's see how to go with the custom schema. And now let me open Mongo daemon and Mongo shell to monitor in the backend what is happening. So we have go to C drive, program files, MongoDB server 4.4 bin, and from here let me run mongo.d.exe. Let me also run mongo.exe. And now let me check. Let me connect it to the database Uplatz because the database is already available in my machine. Later, we will see the list of collections which are already available in the database Uplatz. Okay, we have the collection bookstore already available and the enquiries and registration also. So let me do one thing. Let me delete all the collections from the Uplatz database. db dot bookstore dot, the method name is drop. Let me also drop this registration and enquiries. And let me also drop registration also. db dot registration dot drop. So fine. And now when I run this command show collections, we don't have any type of collections available in the MongoDB. So back to Node.js, back to our presentation. Now the first point what I want to discuss is I'm going to develop a schema with the name book schema itself with some properties. So with I'm going to pass one object which contains some properties with respect to the book. Later we will see how to compile that schema to a model. So back to VS Code, we will develop a schema. I will name it as book schema equal to, we'll go with the object with the corresponding properties like name, and we will also go with the price, and we'll also go with the author. So these are the three properties related to the schema book schema, and we'll go with mongoose reference dot, the method name is schema where we pass this object as a parameter. And now we are done with the book schema. Later we need to convert or we need to compile the schema to a model. So on mongoose reference we need to call a method called model. So where first argument is the name of the model, so I will name it as book. Second argument is the schema. Third argument is the name of the collection on what you want the documents are on what we want to perform the operations. So my collection name is bookstore. We don't have any that type of collection available already. Once I run this application, it will automatically create a collection with the name bookstore. So let me store this inside a variable book. That's it. And now we have a model available with the name book. Once we have the model available, let's start first inserting the documents. We may use the model to initialize the documents of the model. And now let's see how to initialize the documents of the model. So back to VS Code, let me develop one document. So new book of book name will go with the name of the book Java 14, and we will go with the book price 900, and author for the book Raj. So let me store that inside an object book 1. And now on this object book 1, we need to call a method called as save. To insert a single document to MongoDB, we need to call a method called as save on document instance. And it is going to take one callback function with the two parameters, error and the document which is inserted. And this callback function is an optional argument to save method, where insertion happens asynchronously and any operations dependent on the inserted documents has to happen in callback function for correctness. So back to VS Code. On this, we will call a method called as save, where it is going to take a callback function as a parameter, callback function as an argument. That callback function first parameter is error, second parameter is nothing but document. Okay, I'll make it as a book because we are inserting book document. And if any errors occurs at the time of document insertion, let's log in the console. Else, we will log in the console which document is inserted. So book dot name document inserted successfully. That's it. Once we are done with this, let's close the connection with the MongoDB. So on this DB, we will call close method. DB dot close. Fine. Save this application. Back to command prompt and let's run the application. And now we can see Java 14 document inserted successfully and the connection is success. So let's monitor in the backend whether the document is inserted or not. So let me go with show collections. And now we can see the collection created successfully with the name bookstore. Moreover, we will call find method on bookstore to search for the available documents. And now we can see here we got a field called as underscore ID generated by MongoDB automatically to uniquely identify one document out of multiple documents from the collection. And these are our fields: name, Java 14, price 900, author Raj. And now, what if we want to insert multiple documents? If you want to insert multiple documents, we should not go with the save method. We should go with either insert method or insert many method. So insert method anyway deprecated. So let me go with the insert many. In order to insert multiple documents to MongoDB using Mongoose, we need to use insert method. Okay, I will show you how to work with insert method, but please remember that insert method is deprecated. And now this is also going to take a callback function as a third parameter. First parameter of insert method is nothing but the list of array of objects or documents what we want to insert. Second parameter is a callback function. It is a optional configuration object Third parameter is a callback function which will be called after all documents gets inserted or whenever an error occurs. On success, that document is the array of persistent documents. So let's see how to insert multiple documents into MongoDB. Back to VS Code, let's develop an array of objects representing name, price, and other. So we will name it as books. So name will go with Angular 10. Price we will go with 500. Other will go with Praveen. Okay, let's repeat this for 5 documents. Prakash, Rock, Smith, Anil. And the prices will change accordingly. Fine. And now set as bootstrap 4, HTML5. We will name it as TypeScript, Node.js. And now we are commenting this save method. So I'm going to work with book dot collection dot. The method name is insert. And you can see the deprecated warning. It is telling very clearly use insert one or insert many or bulk write. Anyway, let's see with the insert. Then later I'll show you how to work with insert many. And now our first argument to insert method is nothing but an array of objects. In our case, it is books. So I'm not going with any other options. Directly, I will go with a callback function where the first parameter is error, second parameter is result. Or otherwise, I will name it as docs. That is up to us. We can customize the names. If any error occurs at the time of bulk insertion, let me log that error in the console. Else, we will log the number of documents that are inserted. So docs dot inserted count, documents inserted. That's it. Save this application. Back to command prompt. Okay, fine. Something I missed, I think. Fine, save this. Back to command prompt, run this. And now we can see 5 documents inserted and we can see the deprecation warning. Collection dot insert is deprecated. Use insert one, insert many or bulk write instead. And now back to Mongo shell and let's fire the command db.bookstore.find. We have total 5 documents inserted currently and the total number of documents are 6. Now let me show you how to work with insert many. So instead of insert, we will just use insert many. That's it. Save this application. And before running this application, let's make sure we delete all the documents from the bookstore. So we don't have any type of documents in the collection bookstore. Fine, let's run this application. And now we can see 5 documents inserted freshly. Back to Mongo shell, let's use this. db.bookstore.find. And now we can see 5 documents are inserted perfectly. Not only these insert operations, we can perform different types of operations on this model. Like we can perform delete operation, we can perform select operation, we can perform, while selecting, we can perform filtration, we can sort the documents, etc. Whatever the operations we have discussed with respect to Node.js with the MongoDB using MongoDB library, same operations we can do. But syntax will change. That is the only difference. Way of connection with respect to MongoDB is different. Way of establishing the connection using Mongoose library is different. So please remember these points while working with MongoDB library and Mongoose library. So these are the various things I want to discuss in this session. Thank you very much. Catch you in the next tutorial.